The guards always said that prison reveals a man's true nature. For most inmates, that meant anger, fear, violence, or desperation. But for Adrian Cole, quiet, bespectacled, awkward-looking Adrian, it meant something different. It meant hiding the one thing that could either save his life or destroy it if the wrong men found out. Because behind the shy stutter, behind the oversized glasses, and the way he kept his eyes glued to the floor, lived a secret that could flatten even the biggest monster in the cell block. The secret. Adrian wasn't just any inmate. He was a former youth boxing champion, undefeated, once applauded by thousands. And now, in this concrete jungle, the wolves had finally noticed the sheep they wanted to tear apart, completely unaware that the sheep had steel wrapped inside his fists. And this is the moment everything changed. Adrian had been in Stone Penitentiary for only 2 weeks, yet he already knew the rhythm of survival. Speak little, move fast, avoid attention. His cell was cold, the fluorescent lights buzzed like dying insects, and every day felt like walking into a thunderstorm with no umbrella. He kept to himself, always clutching a worn-out book, always looking small, harmless, invisible. But predators see weakness differently. Gage Turner, the biggest bully in Block C, was a walking slab of muscle with a stare that could freeze your blood. He and his group, the Blue Crew, ran the showers, the yard, and the cafeteria lines like they were kings of their own twisted kingdom. And Gage followed a simple rules: find the weakest link and break it. Adrian became that link the moment he dropped his book in the hallway and scrambled to pick it up. The Blue Crew laughed. "Ow, look at the little nerd," one of them snickered. Gage stepped closer, towering over him. "You lost, Professor. This ain't your school library." Adrian murmured a soft apology, avoiding eye contact. His instinct screamed at him to stay down, stay small, and stay silent. Because if he let his old self, his fighter self, rise even for a second, prison life would get far more complicated. But bullies don't stop once they smell weakness. Over the next days, Gage and his crew blocked Adrian's path in hallways, knocked books from his hands, pushed him during chow, and whispered threats whenever guards were out of earshot. Adrian took it all, swallowing pride and pain like bitter medicine. He remembered what his coach once told him. The strongest man isn't the one who wins the fight. It's the one who knows when not to fight. But that advice was becoming harder to follow. Everything changed the day the Blue Crew cornered Adrian in the laundry room. Gage slammed him against a washing machine, laughing as the crew circled him like hyenas. "What you gonna do now, bookworm?" Gage taunted, grabbing Adrian's collar. Adrian's heart pounded, but not with fear. It was something else, a rhythm, a pulse, the old heartbeat of a boxer. In that moment, Adrian realized something: peace only works when the other side allows it, and Gage had never been interested in peace. But Adrian still held back. He let them walk away with his dignity crushed yet again. He knew one punch could break his cover, break bones, break lives. And that wasn't who he wanted to be anymore. Still, even a quiet man has a breaking point. That breaking point arrived when they humiliated him at lunch, knocking his food tray into his lap, while the cafeteria laughed. Adrian rose slowly, wiping food off his uniform. Gage grinned, expecting the usual retreat. But this time Adrian didn't walk away. He looked up, really looked up, at Gage for the first time. And Gage saw something terrifying in those eyes. Not fear, not anger, something far more dangerous. Restraint. The cafeteria fell silent, sensing a storm forming around the nerd. They thought they understood. But no one, not even Adrian, knew that this moment would spark the most unforgettable showdown Block C had seen in years. The tension in the cell block was electric. The Blue Crew decided it was time to teach the nerd a final lesson. And the perfect opportunity came during evening rec hour. The guards were distracted. The cameras had blind spots. And the yard felt colder than usual as clouds swallowed the sun. Adrian sat alone on a bench, reading or pretending to read. But he'd already made up his mind. Today wasn't about survival. It was about ending the cycle. His old coach's words echoed again, but this time differently. A true champion doesn't start the fight. He finishes it. A Gage and his crew approached. 5 shadows stretching across the cracked pavement. 5 wolves circling the quiet lamb. Gage cracked his knuckles. End of the line, Professor. Adrian stood up, pushing his glasses up the bridge of his nose. Calm. Too calm. You don't want to do this, he said softly. The crew laughed. Gage shoved him hard, expecting him to fall like always. But Adrian stepped back with perfect balance. Instinctual. Precise. His stance changed subtly, his weight shifting onto the balls of his feet. A fighter's stance. Gage noticed. The hell you doing? Adrian inhaled once. Ending this. The crew lunged first. A tall, skinny guy swung at Adrian wide and sloppy. Adrian slipped the punch effortlessly, like water sliding around a rock. He countered with a short, sharp jab to the ribs, controlled but powerful. The skinny guy collapsed, gasping. Another rushed him. Adrian pivoted, delivering a lightning, fast cross that stopped the attacker cold. One by one they fell. Not brutally, not angrily. Just efficiently, like Adrian was turning off lights in a hallway. The yard froze. Inmates stopped mid-step. Even the guards watching from a distance were too stunned to react. Gage's grin faded into shock. What are you? Adrian stepped forward. Someone who chose peace. Until you forced me to choose otherwise. A Gage roared and charged. The moment felt slow, cinematic. A giant bull rushing a lone fighter. Adrian's mind snapped into perfect clarity. Years of training surged back. He ducked under Gage's punch. He saw the opening. He delivered a clean, devastating hook to the jaw. Gage dropped like a felled tree. The entire yard erupted in disbelief. Adrian stood there, breathing lightly, glasses still on, book still in the pocket of his uniform. He looked at the fallen bullies, then at the stunned crowd. I never wanted to hurt anyone, he said quietly. But no one deserves to be treated like they're less than human. For the first time since entering Stonbrook, he wasn't invisible. He was respected. The guards rushed in, separating everyone, but there was no chaos, only awe. Even the warden watched the footage later and shook his head in amazement. Over the next weeks, everything changed. No one messed with Adrian again. Some inmates even asked him for training tips, and he helped them. Patiently, humbly. The blue crew avoided him completely, their empire crumbling the way all bullies' empires eventually do, not with violence, but with truth. And the truth was simple. They never knew who they were really picking on. Indinj Messagi prison didn't make Adrian a champion. He already was one. What prison did was remind him, and everyone watching, that strength has nothing to do with size, muscles, or intimidation. Real strength is discipline. Real strength is courage. Real strength is knowing who you are even when others try to tear it down. And sometimes the quietest person in the room holds the loudest power of all.